Thionga sat under the scorching sun, wiping sweat from his forehead as he worked on his family's small farm. The land was dry, cracked, and barely producing enough food to feed them. Every day was a battle against hunger, poverty, and the fear of violence from the ongoing conflicts around them. His father had been taken by the war years ago, leaving Thionga, his mother, and younger siblings to fend for themselves. But Thionga had dreams, big ones. He wanted to study, to escape the endless cycle of suffering. Every night, after a long day in the fields, he sat under the dim lantern light and read old books, borrowed from a neighbor who once attended school in the city. Education, he believed, was his only way out. One day, an unexpected opportunity arrived. The government announced a scholarship for students to study abroad, and for the first time, Thionga felt a spark of hope. With the help of his village elders and his mother's prayers, he applied, though deep inside, he doubted he would ever be chosen. Weeks passed, and Thionga had nearly given up when a letter arrived. He had been selected to study in North Korea, an opportunity few could ever dream of. He could hardly believe it. The thought of leaving South Sudan, of stepping into a country so far away, felt unreal. His mother cried tears of joy, though she also feared for him. "You must promise me, my son," she said, gripping his hands. "No matter where you go, never forget where you come from." Thionga nodded, his heart pounding with excitement and fear. His village gathered to bid him farewell, giving him small tokens, a lucky charm, dried food for the journey, and words of encouragement. He boarded a plane for the first time in his life, watching as the land he had known all his life disappeared below him. Upon arriving in North Korea, the cold air shocked him. Everything was different, the towering buildings, the organized streets, the serious-looking officials. He stepped into the immigration line, clutching his passport and visa. But as he handed his documents to the officer, something changed. The officer frowned, scanning the papers closely. "There is a problem with your visa," he said in a strict tone. Thionga's stomach dropped. "What problem?" he asked, his voice shaking. The officers muttered among themselves in Korean before turning back to him. "Your visa is not valid. You cannot enter. You will be deported." Panic surged through him. "No, please, there must be a mistake. I was given this visa by the South Sudanese authorities. I came here to study." The officers were unmoved. They led him to a small, dimly lit room and locked the door. The walls felt like they were closing in on him. His dream was slipping away before his eyes. Was this how it would all end? Was he destined to return to the same struggles he had fought so hard to escape? 2 long hours passed. He sat in silence, his mind racing. Then, footsteps echoed outside. The door creaked open, and to his astonishment, a familiar face entered. It was the South Sudanese ambassador in Korea. "Thionga," the ambassador said, his voice firm but kind. "What happened?" Tears welled up in Thionga's eyes. "They say my visa is invalid. I don't know what went wrong. Please, sir, I can't go back. Not after everything I went through to get here." The ambassador nodded, turning to the officers and speaking in flawless Korean. The officials listened, then nodded reluctantly. After signing some papers, the ambassador turned back to Thionga with a reassuring smile. "It's handled. You're free to go. Welcome to North Korea." Relief washed over Thionga like a wave. He stepped out into the bright lights of the airport, inhaling deeply. His journey was finally beginning. He had escaped the hardships of his home, and now he was stepping into a new world, ready to change his destiny. But then, something strange happened. A loud voice cut through the moment. "Thionga! Wake up!" His eyes fluttered open. The bright lights of the airport were gone. Instead, the burning sun of South Sudan was shining down on him. He was lying on the ground, back in his village. His mother stood over him, shaking him gently. "Get up, my son. We have work to do in the fields." Disoriented, Thionga sat up, looking around. The small huts, the dry land, the cries of children playing nearby, it was all real. His heart sank. It had all been a dream. He had never been to North Korea. He had never won a scholarship. He had never stepped foot in an airport. He was still here, trapped in the same life he had always known. Tears burned in his eyes as he stood up. He wished, more than anything, that he had never woken up. That dream, no matter how terrifying, was still better than his reality. As he picked up his farming tools, he muttered under his breath, "Maybe one day, my dream will be real. Maybe one day, I will escape." And so, with that hope burning in his heart, Thionga continued his day, carrying the weight of a dream that refused to die.
He dances with shadows beneath southern stars. Voices of old friends sing from afar, and whispers of wind, they heal his scars. The sparrow plows the earth with hope in his mind, sowing seeds of freedom, leaves the past behind. In every stalk that rises, he's sure to find a piece of peace that's gentle and kind.